Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Today, let's talk about Apex Legends, the future of the game and its current state. I'm seeing a lot of posts online from different creators saying they're leaving the game, they're tired of the game, and so on and so forth. And I've even made my own video talking about it in the past. But today, I want to talk more about the future of the game and not necessarily the current state that is in today. There was actually a EA earnings call today, or perhaps yesterday, but all of the information came out today, and it gives us a better look at what EA actually plans to do with the future of the game. I think this is quite good news in a way, and I'd like to delve into it and also talk about what I think Apex Legends needs for it to be successful in the future. The major takeaways from the EA earnings call is that for the last season, Apex Legends did not meet their financial expectations. Kind of been a trend over recent seasons, and their change in Battle Pass did not help them to make more revenue. Now, what's interesting is they didn't state specifically on what monetization methods they would introduce next to try and bring back revenue, but instead focused on something that I was quite happy to see. They said that in a competitive landscape, brand, a strong core player base, and high quality mechanics matter more than ever. And to drive significant growth and re-engagement, large systematic change is required, and they will continue to focus on retention and breadth of content and service of our global community as they work towards more significant innovative changes in the future. Now that was quite a lot of jargon for sure, but what they're basically saying is the game needs some big changes to the core gameplay experience and how players engage with the game, and they do believe that Apex as a franchise is really strong, and I'm glad that EA have realized that this is what the game needs and not more monetization methods. EA even went so far as to say in their earnings call that the next financial year may not be as much of a financial success for EA, and they're happy to kind of let that be. They're happy to accept that Apex Legends next year may not meet all financial goals and it may not perform as good as they had originally hoped, but they still believe in the franchise long term. What I hope this means is there'll be less pressure on the devs' backs when it comes to monetizing the game, and more support from EA to give them the tools they need to actually make better gameplay experiences, which is what the game really, really needs. And I think that some of the points made in this earnings call are pretty true, that the core gameplay is great, and I think a lot of players will admit that. Whether they've played Apex since day one, they played a little bit and then dropped off, or they're currently really sick of the game, they'll probably all agree, alongside me as well, that the core gameplay of Apex is really good, really fun, really engaging, and really rewarding. The gunplay, the movement, it's great. The abilities are pretty cool as well. How everything sort of interconnect is awesome. And when you play a different multiplayer shooter game, it's very obvious what the different flaws are with those games that just make the gameplay feel stale or boring or really not engaging. So the Apex already has that core gameplay experience, and EA aren't giving up on it. Now, the trouble is, the game has lived a long life. It's now coming up to 6 years long, and what happens there is players kind of churn out, they get older, they leave gaming, and overall the population kind of just dwindles over time. And it doesn't help that EA and Respawn have been through many a scandal over the last couple years that have really damaged the player base and trust in the company as well. Overall, the game has just been a little bit old, and through many mistakes, whether it's with cheaters, security measures, or their monetization practices, people are slowly leaving the game. Which means the players that are left are the sweaty players, which means the only players really still playing are those that are so good at the game that anyone who's casual, who wants to try and play the game for the first time, is really going to struggle because, well, there aren't going to be as many new players for them to play against. I think the biggest issue for me, and I hope that EA looks at this over the next year or two, is to work on creating more fun experiences for the game. Like, the core gameplay is great, but it's hard to have fun, and it seems like everyone who is still playing the game are either grinding ranked or they're grinding LTMs just to farm their kill trackers because they are just that into sweating it out, and they've almost forgot how to have fun again. I don't know what large systematic change EA is referring to. Perhaps they don't quite have the answers themselves yet, but I do really hope it means more fun gameplay. I think one of the biggest moments for the game was when Mixtape was added. That brought back a decent size of players because it was a casual fun game mode. You couldn't get trackers in it. There was no kill tracking. So when you play that mode, you're literally there just to warm up, to enjoy the gameplay mechanics, and there's nothing there to grind towards. We need more of that experience in Apex. I'm quite a fan of ranked when it works and there aren't cheaters. I'm a fan of ALGS. I'm a fan of the high level of play, but I also want to enjoy the game at times and not always sweat it out. And I think things like mixtape are a great stepping stone. I'd love to see more mixtape style modes. I'd love to see more LTMs or gameplay experiences that are actually focused on fun. And I hope that EA realizes this going forward. And most importantly, I think that Apex Legends needs much better custom game tools. I'm talking about like a whole Forge mode or a creative mode, just like Halo or Fortnite has. If we were to have more powerful tools to create our own experiences, it would change everything for the game and allow so many more experiences within Apex. Because that core gameplay and movement and gunplay is so great that it would work across so many different experiences. Now, EA actually responded to one question in their earnings call about whether they're doing Apex Legends 2, and their answer was no, we aren't going to do it. We've seen other devs do it, and the 2 is always never performing as well as the 1. And I do get it, but I think the reason why is the devs that have released a 2, for example, like Overwatch 2 or Warzone 2, didn't really fulfill many promises when it comes to making a new game experience. I think an Apex Legends 2 would actually be a good idea, because the main thing missing from this game is the casual player base, the players that get on and enjoy themselves and don't take it too seriously. And I don't think they're really going to come back if Apex Legends releases Season 24 or Season 36. It's just, marketing-wise, it doesn't sound that exciting, and it's not going to get most eyes turning and most people wondering whether to download it again. Now, if you were to do an Apex Legends 2, and actually bring these Forge or creative mode tools into it, alongside more casual experiences and better progression-based rewards, similar to what Call of Duty Black Ops has, which, you know, in Apex's case, the progression and grindables are really lacking. If we were to have that, and we were to have the custom tools, the creative tools, and you still take all of your stats over and all of your cosmetics and stuff. And in essence, it's still Apex Legends, but they're just marketing it as Apex Legends 2, sort of pique the interest of all those millions of players that have left the game and are never coming back. I think that would be a good way to do it. It's really hard to see that so many players don't want to play because they still believe that the game's not even safe to play due to that security threat that we had during one of the ALGS events where 2 players were somehow forced to cheat by some mysterious hacker. Like, so many millions of players probably haven't ever played the game since that happened and still don't know whether it's safe to play or not. So many players still believe that the Battle Pass can only be bought with real money and not with Apex coins anymore, because after that whole debacle, people don't realize Respawn went back on their decision because of community outrage. There are so many mistakes that have happened along the way that most players still believe haven't been reverted, and I think an Apex 2, a fresh start, and a year of just Respawn giving back to the community and not going too hard on monetization could be a really good fresh start for Apex as a whole. But I guess it's never really going to happen. That's what I'd like to see. I guess the positive thing is that EA does realize that they need to work on making core new gameplay experiences, and they're not going to just shut down Apex Legends, which is awesome. And they're not just going to bring back a bunch of monetization methods to try and get more money. They are talking about this game being a long-term success, which is great. Apex Legends isn't dying. It's just in a bit of a rough patch. It's going through its teenage years. Wait, no, it's only like 6 years old. I guess video games age quicker. But once it's through those turbulent teens, it will mature as a much better experience. So good news on the horizon, although it might take a couple years before we really start to see that stuff. But yeah, Apex Legends future is looking pretty good. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio.